The Buckled Book Boys are back in town.
Nothing better than all of your friends rallying round and offering some excellent support.
My name's Danny and I didn't take my pills this morning.
The drink says pregnancy warning, and is it like a warning that if you get blitzed, you'll get someone pregnant?
Alcohol can cause lifelong harm to you, baby.
Welcome to the Buckled Book Club podcast. We are back with episode 3, and Danny Carroll chose the book and he's going to intro it for us, and we're not hitting stop this time round.
Hello everyone, my name is Danny. Thank you for that fantastic intro, Benny. So I was very, very keen to pick a book that resonates with myself.
What?
Danny, mega movie star.
International rap star.
An autobiography.
The first rapper to get a Grammy.
Wait, everyone. So I'll see a lot of myself in him. Without further ado, the book we are reading this month, or have been reading, is actually Will by Will Smith. I picked this book because I'm I'm a big fan, and actually he's been in the news, as I'm sure some people have seen, for bitch slapping Chris Rock.
I think
Bitch slapping.
It's been
Nice.
quite like a relevant book because it has been. I mean, Will Smith's been all over the media 24/7 with that incident that happened. But
Question number 1, has his book sales gone up or down?
I reckon surely it's traction, right? Like, I mean, publicity's publicity at the end of the day, right? So I feel like surely people have bought books or listened or tried to figure it out.
Cancel culture, though. It is 2022.
Yeah. We had some people comment saying I'm off Will Smith now, so won't be reading this.
Can
one.
it be though? It's a Fresh Prince.
Well, some people are die. Danny's not. He can see lots of him hit himself.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at it. We bought the book based on the fact that he did the slap. So
He's got 5 book sales this month already.
Six. As we'll
Why'd
find
you
out.
get 2?
I
You get
also
2?
added an audible.
Well, let's get into that straight away.
Can we just start
Has Danny
with
read the
maybe
book?
a small round of applause because we do actually know Danny read half the book and he listened to half the book.
So technically, that's a full book. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Or has Danny made it up?
Yeah, that's a good point. Danny, what happens 300 pages in?
We're on video today. Can you prove the Audible account on your phone?
Yes, I can.
Then I believe you.
Do you actually want me to do it?
May as well.
I must say as well, I actually listened to the Audible on
says loading.
this book as well.
12 hours left.
It says
So I guess that was something. When you've been reading this book, has it like the current situation with Will Smith changed your opinion when you've been reading it, or has it been? Have you been
It's a
reading
good
it
question.
with like an open mindset? Because I actually found it quite hard to.
Wait, you read it before?
Yeah, I'd
you did?
listened to it before.
I listened to it. First.
So I found it quite hard to not like use the current situation that he's in is like a reference point for a lot of the stories within the book, and I don't know whether it did change the second time.
So, I mean, I didn't check it, but I think the book's 6 months old or something. It's been released.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's still quite new. But I mean, as I'm sure we're going to sort of discover, some of the points he goes into a lot of detail, obviously, at the start. And obviously he had a troubled upbringing and stuff. And then to see it come full circle, he does miss out on a couple of things, doesn't he? With regards to sort of the obvious things, which is the Jada.
Well, that's what you said. He finished it 6 months ago. Then everything that's happened recently is just the new
No, I
stuff.
think he means further back than that.
Yeah, sorry. So obviously Jada having an affair, I was expecting more around that.
With her son's best friend.
I mean, I wasn't expecting him to talk about that in his autobiography. It was. Yeah, right, guys, here's some bloke shagging my missus. Let's talk about that.
He does go into like
At Will Smith.
the Tupac stuff, which is quite interesting.
But
I found that stuff unbelievably interesting.
Have you seen Tupac's movie though?
No.
So that she's in the start of that as well. So like it's quite interesting to see that they were like high school sweethearts and like.
Were they though? I thought
Yeah.
they were mates. I'm pretty
Well,
sure
like,
they weren't
Did you
banging.
read the book?
Yeah, I've watched it. Yeah.
It says
I
there
watched
was-
a Tupac movie.
I've seen the Tupac.
Have you seen Jaws?
I don't think you've read the book. He specifically says in this book that it was nothing romantic.
Yeah, but they were like best mates. Like maybe. Well, I mean, are you still romantically close with your childhood sweetheart?
Well, I'm sitting
Paddy?
right there, so yeah.
He's right here, lad.
No, but like they said that like she said that the love that she had for Tupac was like nothing that she could ever like have again.
She did say some pretty rogue comments. I have seen that.
Yeah.
And obviously that must hit Will. I think throughout the book it does come across that there's a lot of insecurities with Will, and I think he does admit to a lot of them.
You would be pretty insecure of fucking Pack, wouldn't you?
Well, what I've noticed throughout the book, and obviously I'll let somebody else get a word in here soon, but
Mate, it's nice to have you chatting. I'm
thank
happy.
you.
Keep going, son.
So he does talk about obviously he's everything he does is like 110%, 150%. He's so intense, and it is obviously the timeline that it goes through. Obviously being brought up and his dad being like an he was an army brat essentially, wasn't he? And everything was like do or die. What was the quote again? Sorry.
He was doing the brick by brick.
Yeah.
Laying bricks.
One brick at a time.
Yeah, but then it was like the quote that he used throughout the book.
Scorched earth.
Scorched earth. Yeah.
Are you not one about the two options A or die?
Yeah, sorry, it was that.
I didn't like that scorched earth thing you kept saying. I didn't really think it.
Can you tell us about the scorched earth?
I thought it was like just poignant throughout the book. It was just like because it's obviously there's loads of points of his life that saying
it's like an accomplishment
is relevant to, like whether that's his cousin, things he's done. It's just like it's obviously something he's held on to for a while.
Yeah. His cousin sounded like a legend.
Danny, what are you looking at?
I was just burping away from the mic.
Don't worry, mate. The camera got you this time.
And for all the listeners out there, if you want to see us make an absolute dick out of ourselves as well, we do have a YouTube channel.
Oh, shameless plug.
I think it's worth saying what a lovely paint job we've got as the backdrop.
Yeah.
This is the start of the creative studio. It's in phase 1. By the next pod, we're going to be looking even better.
The question from Danny is, what colour are you going to paint the roof?
It's not getting painted. The one wall was enough.
You're not doing
It's
it
a long.
orange?
It's a long wall.
Can you tell us about what is going to happen for this space?
We're going to have some nice sofas. I'm thinking that we may even get a light for the wall, like maybe a buckled sign.
If anyone does want a book,
buckled neon one.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that, yeah. I mean, it looks a bit too podcasty, arguably, but we'll
What looks
see.
too podcasty?
If we get a neon sign that says buckled.
Yeah, let's just copy Rogan. Let's just get like big
Let's be-
wooden, big
Everyone
wooden
shave
table.
your heads.
Yeah.
Danny's wanted me doing that since the start. Let's be controversial like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Then we'll blow up.
we are thinking
Even
about,
though you wanted us to stop because you said a word.
we are thinking about taking the Buckled Book Club on the road, by the way. So if you want to see us at a bingo hall, a club, or any function suite near you, please do get in touch.
Mate, I've just got back from the UK tour, son. It was a booming success.
Can we talk about your UK trip, George?
Dawn
I'd
French.
love to.
Did you see the Vicar of Dibley?
Vicar of Dibley, tried Pontiac.
Conti.
Try
Pontiac.
The Pontiac on your mind, son.
Yeah, Pontiac, lovely. No, it was a hell of a tour. Great reception, like I said, in Singapore.
Fans at the airport.
Yeah, it was. It was like, you know, when you step off the plane, like if you won the World Cup or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Did the pilot have the British flag out of the window of the cockpit?
I mean, the
I don't know, mate. I was at the back.
Yeah, couldn't see from where I was sitting.
Couldn't
mate.
see an economy.
Yeah. No. UK was great, guys. Happy to be back. Looking forward to, getting jiggy.
Anything?
Not talking about the UK by the looks of things.
Getting jiggy with it, and we're not going to talk about what happened in the UK.
What did
What
happen,
about-
George?
I had a nice time with mum and dad and my brother and his little baby.
Remember, rule number 1, no throwing anyone under the bus.
Unless you do it first. 'cause then
Unless you do it
doesn't count.
first.
Unless we do it first. So let's bring up what happened last week in Hong Kong, Danny.
What happened last week?
Panic.
Fear set in. No.
Danny's
Okay.
sweating now for the rest of the podcast.
Excellent.
Probably back to the book.
Yeah.
Right.
So, what resonates you with the first couple of chapters in
I've got
terms
one.
of sort of how Will?
Grammy.
I think it was quite good when
Rappers.
he was talking through, going through his school life and talking about his rapping and being just sort of his energy, or like you said, he was 110 the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when he walked into that new school he went to, and he was like,
I wrote that.
You got hit with a bike
"I'm
lock.
here,
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah.
I'm here." And like
Excellent impression.
What was it like? Someone was like, "Ain't nobody care you here."
And then-
And he's like, "Your girl's gonna care that I'm
I
here."
wrote here. He's like, hey, give me 10 minutes and your girl gon' care.
Yeah,
It's like
and
we're
then
in Philadelphia.
5 minutes after that, he gets hit with a bike lock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. There was a few stories in there though that were like I found, especially like the first couple of chapters. I thought they were fun. They were like relevant to a few things that have happened to me. I think there was
son.
What has happened to you?
no the
Any more ball sack incidents?
Nah, there's no more ball sack incidents.
Wait,
but
it was where his mum caught him shagging.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a story about that, but we'll leave that for a little bit because I actually do.
No, let's get it out right now.
Have you caught?
Right.
Have you caught your mum shagging?
No. So it was actually that's actually one of my like. I was going to point the question out. It was like, what's like your worst shagging story in terms of like being caught? I've got two. I'll tell one, but the first one was like
The other ones are still.
What, are we all going round giving one each now? That wasn't in the script.
Well, it is now.
You start us off, Di. We'll follow.
Well, that was his own mum catching him shagging, but mine was I was at my bird's house and her mum and dad walked in and we were like full middle of
Pile
the carpet.
driver.
Yeah, full middle of the carpet, like living room shagging. And then this was on like a Saturday night, and then obviously I slept over. I was maybe like 16 at the time.
Should have left.
Would you have your sleeping bag rolled out in the middle of the day?
And then we had to have Sunday dinner, and I don't think I've ever felt more awkward in my life than just sitting opposite the dad after being caught shagging in the middle of the fucking living room floor.
Just pushed your sprouts around for a
Mate,
couple
you
hours.
should have scurried out of there like the borrowers say.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
should have been like, I've been caught, I'm out.
I mean, yeah, but they came in, I ran upstairs, and I just stayed upstairs for like the rest of the night.
So Younger, what about the second story?
The second story, I actually don't think I could tell on.
What?
Go on.
I can't.
To bring back to the book, which one was it Will was talking about? He said he got
So
caught.
he was shagging on the kitchen.
No,
kitchen
his
table.
his
He was doing
girlfriend
doggy.
had issues with her auntie or something, and then she was going to kick her out, and then Will Smith convinced his mother to let her stay.
That was it.
And he was like, I promise we're not going to have sex
Yeah, he
because
was-
I'm going to marry this woman. I'm going to marry this girl. And then his mum comes downstairs at like an obnoxiously like stupid time, and he's just doing a doggy in the middle
In
of
the
in the kitchen.
Maybe that wasn't in your audible edition.
Yeah, I missed that one. Jesus.
Yeah, full Big Willie style.
Yeah, getting jiggy with it. I definitely got jiggy with it and then regretted it when I
Right.
had to eat
Can I just ask?
Danny's
a
story.
roast chicken.
Can I just ask? Just thanks for that, Younger. Moving on. Firstly, I mean, I didn't know many of his older songs and how big of an artist he was. Like, you know, to win all these Grammys and so on. I literally just thought it was like sort of Miami and the other ones. You know what I mean? And
Should I tell you what was cool is when he was talking about like, his progression of rap, it was just like his storytelling. So then when you listen back to like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that's like just him rapping, being like whatever it is the song is about.
Yep.
And then there's ones like where he's singing about his favourite bird and all that type of stuff. It's quite cool.
It's quite cool how he said though, like he would just do that on a regular, like he'd just walk around the house and just talk out loud and like rap about anything, couch, TV stand, but like he would put it in some sort of like lyrical line, which is actually pretty cool. And I guess like
You'd put it into a rap.
yeah, nice mate. The early part of the book was like him in the development of hip hop, which was
Yeah, it's mad,
I thought
right?
that
Yeah,
was fucking
that's really
Like,
cool.
because I mean, we understand hip hop now is what it is, but
Him and
like
Jazzy Jeff.
two turntables going.
Do you know
I
what?
guess-
What
I guess
was
we've got-
interesting, mate? It was like having to convince your mum that you're actually gonna make something of yourself, and that this isn't just like a shit gig, and that you're genuinely gonna go on tour and all that. And she's trying to get him to go to college, and you're like, no, we're famous, we're gonna blow up.
And then they gave him a year,
Yeah,
and within the year he made all his money, and then pretty much lost it all, did he?
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
That,
yeah.
that
Chicken
part's
wings
good,
and
right?
Chicken wings and rum and coke, is it?
Yeah.
so what I found interesting about the style it was written is like.
You've perked up a lot today. I like it.
Thank you. I was in bed by 11.
Please don't read the next book.
So, oh fuck, I've lost it. No, I haven't. I haven't. It's come back. It's come back. It's come back. I fucking lost it.
Does anyone
Right.
on that? Does anyone have anything that buckled them about that first part of the book,
Yeah.
or like his rise to fame, and like because it is fucking cool listening to him and Jazzy Jeff, because he was like, it's worth saying, he was the side man to Jazzy Jeff, because back in the day it was like the DJ and then
Jazzy Jeff was the man,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Will
yeah.
Smith was
You
with
were-
him.
yeah,
You
yeah,
were a
yeah.
side
So
action, yeah.
Jazzy Jeff was the big dog, and Will was just like there as the supporting act.
The MC.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was kind of influenced by the fact that he slapped that dude that in the first part of the book, rather than really liking him. He was just doing my head in, to be honest.
So he was
Interesting.
What as in you?
I really liked Will, but when I was like reading it because of what's just happened, I was a little bit like,
So
I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't like.
I
getting
reckon,
behind him
I
as
reckon
much. I
that's
was
going to
definitely a bit more
be
biased.
big with everyone now.
I do love him. He's class, but I wasn't like. Do you get what I mean?
I mean,
so now that you see obviously that thing and obviously the intensity he comes across and the slap, now that it's prominent, the start of this book does read a lot like, look at how good I am. And then he's obviously struggled fitting in with other people, and like his aggression and stuff like that throughout, and wanting to be something that he probably isn't.
He says he's a coward right from the very start.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, about him acting out.
Yeah, that's the interesting part where he talks about his mum being hit by his dad and he couldn't say anything, and he thought all his life he was a coward.
Yeah, but that's like the whole book is like he says that quite a lot throughout the full book is, I'm a coward.
So there's a bit in the book where he actually talks about how he is only feeling happy if he is making the woman that he cares about happy, correct? Right?
Yeah.
And that's what kind of, when I was thinking about the incident that's happened and then thinking about what's gone on. Where you grab? Oh yeah. Okay. I forgot now.
When you care,
carry on, Dan.
I can't remember. What was I saying?
About caring about your bird.
Basically, it was just like, if we're looking at it backwards, right? Everything he says pretty much leads towards why he would do that, right? Like he's always trying to.
Yeah.
He's always trying to whatever make Jada happy or
Thinking
whatever.
he's a coward trying to protect her.
That's it. But then when you watch that video of him, he's laughing his head off at first, and then he sees that she's disappointed in him, and then he goes and slaps him.
I don't think he is laughing. I think my opinion is he's seething. He's like laughing, but he's not.
You think?
Yeah,
Covering it?
I think he's like.
I mean,
like
yeah,
maybe.
seething.
You're at the it was Oscars, right?
Yeah.
You're in front of millions, the full world.
I
So
get
like
you.
he must
Gotta
just be
laugh,
there,
right?
like, I'm gonna fuck you.
Well, that's what I think. He's laughing, but that's where his head is.
Yeah.
I probably disagree. I think he's awkwardly laughing, and he's obviously. I think he's caught her eye. He's obviously wanting to fit in that much that he's like, oh my god, that was so funny, and then he's caught that like.
That's what I mean. It
The
changed when he
puppet
seen
master,
Jada, right?
and then he looked at Jada, and then he was just like, right, I've got to act on it because I've never acted with my dad, I never acted on the other stuff. I think he's massive. He's got some serious like personality disorders.
But I mean, to be that good, it's so many things: movies, music, everything else he's done. There has to be a few screws loose. Like if you look at anybody that's the best at what they've done, Will Smith's got to be one of the most famous people
It
in
is
the
actually.
world.
It's actually crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nuts how much pressure he has on him, and like all of the stuff that he took from like obviously his early days. Like it must be tough.
I mean, he says it in the book quite a lot. He's like the biggest grossing actor.
He has to be,
across thing.
Sure.
Yeah, that's really impressive.
I like when he said there was like John Travolta, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah, that was
and
interesting.
Bruce Willis, and he was like,
No, Sylvester Stallone.
was it? Oh yeah, and he goes over to them and he's like, hey guys, I want to be like you, like I want to be the biggest movie star in the world. And he was like, I just remember what Arnold said to me, and he was like, if you want to be the biggest movie star in the world, you need to be the biggest in every country in the world. He was like saying how like being big in America isn't enough. He was like, you have to go to China, you have to go to bloody everywhere.
Crazy that the people he had supporting him with that though, because his mate JL then went and did all the like. Read all the scripts, read what they could do to essentially get him there, right? He dedicated him to get him Will through that. So
You do need a back office, like a support group, don't you? Like no man makes it on his own. He's had like a full or women, so he's had a full like squad behind him who's been like. You don't even think about like how much work goes into these shows and stuff, do you? Even like the groupies and his people.
All those birds shagging all the lads.
It must be very
They're
integral
working
for the
their
work.
backs off. They're out there clapping cheeks.
Can we have a round of applause for groupies?
do you know what was bad when he got on the bus and he told all his mates that they couldn't be having loads of groupies on board, and he gets back and his missus has cheated on him?
Ah, yeah, that's rogue.
That is bad.
Yeah, you'd be fuming, right? How funny is it?
Wait,
that
then he burnt her. Oh no, wait, that was a separate
Go on.
one. No,
Oh, that was
he
bad.
burnt her
That was a
clothes.
different one. Was it
Different
not?
bird.
Yeah, he had a fair few birds, right? He was in love every 5 minutes.
Why? You say that. Oh, he had like 3 girlfriends all his life.
It's interesting though where he talks
Well,
about
no.
I'm joking.
talks about going rogue though on like a big shagging spree.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I've
right,
actually put that. What? What's the page? Where he did-
Summer Miracle tour.
He did talk about it. He was like, it was non-stop. It's a revolving door.
Where is it?
I've just seen everybody flinch so hard there. Let's move away from shagging.
Can I just ask, did everyone watch Fresh Prince growing up?
I had
Yeah.
sex with so many
100%.
women, and it was so That's an hard word. I missed that one.
And?
And yeah, no, it was disagreeable to the core of my being that I developed a psychomatic reaction to having an orgasm. It would literally make me gag and sometimes even
Oh,
vomit.
yeah.
Imagine you were banging a bed, then you're like,
I really enjoyed that, but I need to chunder.
Has anyone ever been sick on a bed when you're shagging them?
What sort of questions that? I've not, mate.
For all of our listeners under 18, I'm sorry about that.
I've not.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
Sorry, to tie that in, that's genuinely what
Have-
Paddy was just saying. Will
Have
do.
you got a story, Danny?
Wait, I do have one where I was like kissing a girl, and you know when you're like kissing, but you're so hammered, and like your breathing is all fucked up. You're like
holding your breath.
You're like holding
Coming
your
up
breath.
for air.
I literally remember being like kissing this bird, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna chunder. I had to like chuck her off and then sprint. She was at uni, so I had to like sprint down her uni halls, and it was like Neo trying to find the room with the telephone. I was like, where's the fucking toilet? And then just chundered all over the place. Back to the book.
Well, early on in the book, there was a story when he comes out, and the whole of the rest of the street have obviously went to get like a BMX or whatever it was, whatever the coolest bike was at the time, and he comes out on like a chopper, which just like, and it's a rally bike. So I got a rally bike when I was a kid. That's how I learned to ride my bike. Like, you know, when you get like with stabilizers on and that.
Yeah.
So my dad got me a rally bike when I was a kid, which is just like a decent bike. But I remember he took me out and he took me across the
Did he
field.
used to put it in the back of the Alfa Romeo?
I did 156. And we literally like just straight off Christmas just unwrapped this bike, and he took me over the fields. Do you know when you've got a brand new bike and it's like got new treads?
Yeah.
Like thick treads.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could have rode through more dog shit if I tried. Like, I was maybe. How old are you when you learn a bike?
How sicko are you?
24.
Yeah.
Maybe like what, 6 or 7? Whenever you first learned how to drive.
Should we go to an advert?
And I don't like. That made me fucking buckle because you said about a rally bike, and I generally remember my dad just being so pissed at me because I think there was more shit on the tire than there was tire.
So was that a purchase influenced by Will?
Yeah.
A rally bike.
Yeah.
I think I remember I used to put my jacket inside out. Did you ever do that?
What?
Like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air
like
used
the
to
Fresh
do it.
Prince. He put his jacket
I
inside
thought it was
out.
related to being on the bike.
No, not related. To
I thought that was weird when you went out like it the other week.
Right.
Oh
good,
my
very
god.
Good, very good indeed.
That bit was funny though, where he walks out and he's like planned his grand entrance,
And he's
there's
like, catch up with me, bitches, or whatever he says, and he fucking flies off, and then all of his friends are like, that's the shit.
yeah, they all burst out laughing, right?
Yeah.
He's good. I think it's probably worth pointing out we didn't do any intros today because Paddy completed them last time.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was hard to follow up.
Yeah.
We decided against it because Paddy wrote the best poem Hong Kong's ever heard.
Yeah,
Thank you. Means a lot.
he's read it to me every day since.
In bed.
George, just on that note, can you tell us who our sponsor is for the pod this week, please?
We're very lucky that we've been sponsored by multiple beers today. We've got some Estrella straight out of Spain. We've got some Koido from Japan.
Japan.
We've got some Peronis, some 0%ers, keeping it fresh, keeping the lids clean.
Some big logos there.
Yeah. So, but if you are a beer sponsor and you want to reach out to us, we're all about supporting local brands. So maybe there's some in Hong Kong that would like to start pushing the lads on a Sunday.
Right. Well, we've progressed from early on in the book, and at like a couple of chapters in, the hip hop side starts going, and we've got 2 DJs in the house.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
what I'm saying is battle of the DJs, and
Ooh,
you've got 2 turntables. What 2 songs are you picking to get the crowd going?
And it's like ping off.
Yeah.
Ping.
You've got.
All right.
We'll carry on talking, but you boys
Wait,
think
I'm gonna
about.
see who goes first. Danny, which one do you want, mate? Quick.
Just for the
Left.
listeners, we're doing. Yeah.
Right, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. You get to choose. Do you want to go first or second?
So what am I doing? Saying a song.
You're saying
You've got to
the
choose.
so-
You've got to
you're
choose
saying
2
the
songs.
2 songs, but you're saying the song you're going to open with against Danny, and then Danny's going to play one, and then you have one, and he has one.
Yeah. So there's a bit of reference
Or
to this.
Or Danny can go first.
This is very different to DJing.
In the book, they talk about like how DJing first started and how they were scratching and they had 2 different turntables and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, me and Danny are fake DJs.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you had 2 songs each,
We're back to that.
to get all of us hyped, what are you going for?
Sweet Caroline and Avicii Levels mixed together,
That's good.
How does that go?
like the Hong Kong Sevens.
Sweet Carol.
I'm only bouncing backward then.
Last night a DJ saved my life.
I mean, no one wants that.
What? It's fucking news to me.
Barry White.
You want to get the crowd going with that?
Listen,
I think people get behind it.
And mix it with what else, Dan?
Barry White.
The lyrics
Rock
to
with
that.
You, Michael Jackson.
Interesting.
We're keeping it chill. It's not to be like.
It's a good job you weren't DJing in the 80s, wasn't it?
Well, mate, I'll be honest. You put me on the spot there. My heart's just absolutely sunk. I forgot
Not
my
the 80s.
name.
Not the 80s. The book was fucking way later.
Last night a DJ fucked my wife.
Anyway, so
Back to the book.
can I just ask George, and we're gonna go round the room.
About Thursday.
What would your DJ name be?
McGeorgie. One word, like seal. Yeah.
One word, like seal.
Does anyone know-
I got the pub franchise. I've got the DJ franchise. Yeah.
Has Seal got scars on his face?
Yeah, he does.
Does
Yes.
it, how did he
He's
get
always.
I think that's
An
the-
elephant?
That's for a different
the
podcast.
next
I think,
chance you get to pick a book, mate.
old? So can we? Next
Sharks.
month's book is actually Seal's autobiography, called Sea Lion.
Right.
Jesus.
I reckon I'd just call myself Spicy Fingers.
Go on, son.
You want to
It's
explain
just a
it?
good name, innit?
Explain it.
Because that's what you do, and you use your fingers to mix it, right? I'm going to play some
Could get hot
spicy
sauce
tunes.
sponsors.
Yeah, exactly right. I like Drake.
What would yours be, younger?
Smoky.
Why?
Or like cooked.
Because he likes cooking.
Yeah.
What's
What's yours? Do you DJ?
No.
We've got pretty original
I think
DJ
Spicy
names.
Fingers a good name.
Mine is just DJ Danny Carroll.
Nice. That's original.
Actually, his name's Daniel John Carroll, which makes it DJC.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Um,
Go on, Benny.
and
I'm
DJ
Jazzy Jeff, yeah.
DJ Benny.
Mine is DJ Painter after spending last Sunday in Grafton.
DJ Orange Roof.
Is it also worth saying we've actually all seen Jazzy Jeff?
Yeah, actually, I've been meant to mention
That was my last night out.
1, 2, 3.
Ah,
Were you
was
there
it?
that night?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah. Die.
As in, that was the last proper. That was pre-COVID.
I
That
must
was-
also say I was so
It was
blitzed. I
Chinese New
can't
Year.
actually remember.
Was he good?
I,
We
don't
I was-
know.
I have no idea. That was
It
that was
it
the
was
rugby
act-
competition.
I remember it was actually yeah.
That was that night.
It was that weekend. I remember being at the front, just absolutely loving it with some bird. It was class. Don't think she was fit, but I was having the best time ever.
It's okay.
And
You
he
haven't
was
got to be
just
fit.
Right in front of me there. He was sick, to be fair. He did get the room bouncing.
What was your favourite moment in this book, George?
Favorite moment in the book. To be honest, like that, it obviously goes through the whole progression of like him starting up, mega movie star, and then towards the end, it's more his like personal battles and all that type of stuff. I wouldn't say there's like one part of the book where I was like, this is the best part, but I mean, it was sort of interesting to hear just like all the cool stuff that he'd done and like the mistakes he'd made. And then I think it's also worth saying, I don't know if we want to talk about the end of the book now, but he does do like 8 ayahuasca trips, which is pretty funny.
14, innit?
14 die.
14, yeah, he's done 14 of those, which I mean, if
Sign me up.
Do you know the... Sorry.
No, I'm just saying,
I was-
if you know what they are, they're
Keen as a badger.
intense.
I was going to say, I think the best part of the book for me was actually the line where he's gone from famous to not famous, and he's gone to a club and he's been turned away, right, by them other dudes, and he says to his mates, that will never happen again to me in my life. Is that it? That'll
Yeah,
never
yeah.
happen. Like,
He's quite honest, and I do like it when people are honest with the feelings and where he's going from. I think it was after the second album launch where he was like, I've been on top, and then there's the only thing worse than sort of being famous is losing it. And
Yeah,
like
that's
he's
what I
going
mean.
through the difficulties of
Imagine going to a club where like 2 months before you were the absolute go-to, and then next month they're like, actually, nah, you've dropped off.
But that is fame,
pretty-
right? That's fame is fickle, right?
That's
like
Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood's like that, right? Like
It was very interesting to read that he had everything. He got all his cash, and then he'd spent it on the house
Yep.
and the 3 cars, and he'd not paid his taxes, and then he had to give it all back, and he was in the red.
yeah,
That's shit.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
Even the pool, and his dad's like, "You only got one ass."
You don't need 3 cars.
But I think that's like I mean, I'm saying it as if I'm famous. I'm not famous at all. But like when you do get famous, like parts of the book, I feel like he almost doesn't reflect enough, and then at the end of the book is like him reflecting back on life. And there's almost like there must have been when you're on tour, you're partying, there's birds on your tour bus, you're doing drugs, you're drinking. I'm sure you just don't really understand what's going on because it's all just happening so quick, especially when you're like that famous.
Do you know what? For a lot of the book, actually, I weren't being a big fan of him. Do you know where it actually changed changed it for me was the Muhammad Ali chapter.
What do you mean?
Like I don't know why I was just feeling annoyed when I was reading it. Like I wasn't like getting behind Will. I don't know what it was.
Because
I don't know if it's because I could hear it in his voice or he's so. Do you know what it was? A lot of it's so cool, and then some of the stuff is just felt so fluffy, and it's like he's already got so much shit that's actually cool and real. I don't know whether I buy into like the Jada knowing she was pregnant straight away thing. I'm like, did that really happen? You know?
I think throughout a lot of the book though, like he does, and like he said that growing up that he would play roles.
Yeah.
Like, and I think when you read the book, there's almost like chapters in the book that are you hear him playing that role.
Yeah, exactly right.
So I think. But to be a movie star,
of
you
course,
have to,
right?
right? So I'm sure that does transfer back into your life of like, if you play a fucking psychopath for a movie, you probably take some of those tendencies home with you. If you, like, you know what I mean? If you...
There's a part, right, where he falls in love with the lady because he did method acting and he's never
Yeah.
done method acting again, right?
So to quote the book in a sort of my vivid memory, no, he talks about sort of how so Gigi is his nan, and she would sort of have to distinguish what was bollocks and what was true from his stories, and his mum as well. So he'd tell a story and it was like, okay, dial this back, 50% of this is true. And I think that's been the story throughout.
It's like you.
So
I was thinking that.
even with this book though, like even the stories
It's the same thing.
Yeah. So even in this, like when he's talking about the pregnancy and stuff, he's probably building it up for the listener to make it entertaining.
Yeah, maybe he was, but that at that point I was like, he doesn't need to because he's got so much cool shit that's already happened that's real. He doesn't need to have this.
I don't think he feels cool though. To be honest, he talks about sort of how the other Philly rappers and the other rappers, because he wasn't from the streets and he was from this middle class suburbia.
No, but I'm not saying he does acknowledge throughout the book his accomplishments, right? Like he obviously doesn't feel cool and he doesn't fit in, but for me it was like some things I just felt like, why does this need to be a thing as well? Like,
but it's you could have all the
maybe it's
thrills, you could have all the money and Ferraris and all that sort of stuff, but if you like look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I still don't fit into this rap game, or I still don't fit in, I'm still not the best movie star I want to be, then, and I feel like that's a lot of the book is him going through it, is like it's his self-doubt and his like how he's talking to himself and the stories he creates. And even when you watch like his interviews and stuff, like I just never feel like he is fully confident on himself. I don't know, I got that message throughout the full book of like, he is probably one of the most famous people in the world, but in his head he's still talking to himself.
David Beckham and DJ Danny Carroll.
Yeah, he's the most expensive actor to get on a set, by the way, for any movie. He charges more than anyone else.
Still,
yeah.
Not anymore.
Didn't The Rock take him over?
I think they cut all his contracts up.
You'll do a movie for a $5.
Yeah.
I just want to say I went blank, but everyone was waiting for me to say something.
Well, it's because you were like this, mouth wide open.
Okay, favourite moment in Shark Tale?
What's Shark Tale?
It's one of his movies. It's probably one of his shittest movies.
Actually,
no, wait.
Yeah.
Why don't we go off that? Obviously, Shark Tale's your favourite Will Smith movie.
Yeah.
What's everybody else's favourite Will Smith movie?
I Am Legend.
That's a good one.
Yeah, probably.
Nah, Men in Black's. Men in Black's a class.
Nah, only the first
Agent
one.
K.
I'm going to go
Agent K.
Rogue, and I'm going to say not as fancy stuff, but it's The Pursuit of Happiness. I
it's a good film.
cry every time without fail. Like a little bitch.
That's all right,
I-
mate. Hey, I'm here for you.
It is a good film, right?
Great movie.
It's
Great movie.
brilliant.
And it's like
I Am
it's
Legend's
it's
class.
proper. It's proper acting though. It's not like
So,
Shark Tale.
I like the bit where he... What?
Not like Shark Tale.
what the fuck was that noise then?
Younger laughing.
at you.
Oh, okay. So, how do we feel about the rest of the family, the rest of the Smith family, as in his immediate?
Absolute bags of nuts.
I'm not going to lie, after I listened to the audiobook, this is before the whole slap thing, I was like loving every one of them. Like I was listening to Willow on Spotify, like Rory will vouch when he came in.
I whip my hair back and forth.
No, not that one. The
not
new
that.
music's quite
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Not that one, but I mean, when Rory visited, we were in a hotel and I was just playing some of Willow's music in the morning, and he was just like, "This is the
Everything
most
okay,
depressing-"
mate?
Yeah,
Well,
well,
Rory can't whip his hair back and forth.
He
no,
can't.
it was that meet
Tom
me-
Wilson will
meet me
also say
somewhere.
that he loves Willow's new music.
I'll
It
whip
is
my
banging.
head back
No,
and forth.
Yeah,
Whip
yeah.
my head
No, I was a big fan of it, and then I've been listening to some of Jaden's shit as well.
Whilst dressed as Karate
but then
Kid.
but then
Karate?
since I'm not being funny, since the slap, it's like
Karate?
almost like
Karate?
I've switched everything off. Do you know what I mean? Apart from Willow.
Willow's still on repeat.
Karate.
What I would say, if anyone is still listening to the pod, for anyone else out there, there is two very different sort of USPs. Obviously, with the book, you get a few collections of pictures of obviously Will growing up and stuff and the family. But the Audible is actually him. He's narrating it, but he actually raps through it, and there's sort of a good backing track, and I think it does add a little bit more flavour. To just hear obviously that.
I also think we've solved Danny's reading problem, and now that we're moving to Audible for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
So
boys.
I mean, to be fair, did you finish fully?
Always finish. But I would say though that there's.
But you haven't. You failed twice.
Nah. Okay. But.
Moving on.
For any of the sort of read and challenged viewers out there, I would recommend Audible as well.
I think it's a different experience for sure, because like I told you before we picked this one, but there's like parts of the book he's reading, but there's like backing music whilst he's reading.
It's like a movie.
Even the opening of the book, he's like made a song being like, "This is Will, the author, blah blah blah."
Really?
It's like playing the piano. Yeah, it's class.
Like
It's
when he
sick.
stood up in school. You go and remember my name.
Yeah, exactly that.
I do like making notes in a book, though, as we were talking about beforehand. It is two different ways. I like going back to some of the stuff he said. It's part of a pump-up book as well. Like him talking about his discipline with his trainer, about his accomplishments. Yeah. Like, I like circling shit like that, but then when you played a little bit of the Audible, just sounds class listening to his voice.
I think it's Audibles are good when it's the person reading, because you get way more buy-in. Like, I've also had Audibles where you listen and it's like some... I mean, who the fuck
ready
knows?
to go to sleep.
Yeah, when it's not them, it's not as good, for sure.
Yeah, it's the ones that you would listen to are probably like the self-help ones, who are like the ex-Navy SEALs and shit like that. Like, you know, these motivational people. I wouldn't listen to fucking Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. Know what I mean?
Well, wait, the Harry Potter one, that's read by Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry's class.
That would be unreal.
Yeah, Stephen Fry's so good.
Well,
That was my impression of
Are you
Steve
alright?
Alex having a stroke.
George, you want to talk to us about some of your funny parts you liked from the book then?
So yeah, one of the bits, I would also say, if anyone who hasn't read the book or hasn't listened to it, you can go on YouTube, and he has book readings. So maybe it might be nice for you lads to see as well. After finishing the Audible, you can go on YouTube, and he's like sitting with his family, and he's reading with the family like the first time they've heard it before. So on what you were saying earlier as well, Danny, you get to see his like support network. He has his own PT, all of his mates are there. That's like just him in Dubai the whole time, pretty much. But on that, if we're talking about what a favorite part, oh no, when Paddy was saying earlier about Jada being like, I think they just had sex, and she was like, "Oh my god, I'm pregnant." I was just like, can you imagine if he'd had sex and then the girl was like, "I'm pregnant"?
Can you imagine
Straight
if you had
away.
that sex full stop?
I think it's just intense. Everything throughout the book is extremely intense, and like towards the end of the book, sorry to like if there's anything anyone wants to chime in with in the middle, but
Well, Danny, have you had a girl say, "I'm pregnant" from you?
never.
Have you got a sex story you want to tell, though?
Never. And
I'm a locked book.
So towards the end of the book,
His Audible went off.
But why did you move away? Just carry on, mate.
Just keep going.
Guys, Danny's flapping. He's found his
Towards-
confidence today, and then
I just completely forgot what I was saying.
It's normal.
you get him brain
That's all
zaps.
That's what ADHD does
That's
to me.
that's the Guilos, mate.
Yeah.
That's the sponsor Guilo. So it just
Do
happens.
you know what helps as well when you've lost is when you rotate your hands like this to everybody
I'm
else.
just like
You
I was-
reverse out the picture and just do this.
I'd recommend watch it on YouTube to see all of Danny's facial expressions and him stepping away.
No, I will say, I have seen on your computer in between some interesting websites you've got there. You do have some notes as well. So maybe what about you, Guy?
We've covered a lot of it. I think his relationship with his dad is really interesting and pretty cool. And then how he felt like he could only share lots of it after now. In the video you just recommended, he talks about how he wouldn't have been able to do this when his dad was alive because he wouldn't have been able to face his dad knowing the stuff. But also you could argue his dad made him because of the discipline, the work ethic. But then also his dad sounded like, a complete psycho as well. So I just really enjoyed the stuff about his dad.
So what he was also, sorry, I've just remembered where I was there.
Oh, great.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Hong
we
Kong.
need to get better at not interrupting.
Hong
just
Kong.
FYI. No, so he talks about sort of wanting every single year to be sort of, and to go back to the sort of 110%, he has all of his people around him at Christmas so he doesn't slow down. But he was doing it in a very selfish way. Whereas he'd dress it up as obviously inviting everyone to a ski resort or whatever it was, and having all of his business people, his contacts and all of his family there. But it was so that he could never slow down. So he was always preparing for January. And he was always going, he said he'd even miss Christmas dinner because he didn't want to have any cheat meals and stuff like that. So he's always thinking about, like, the next one has to be bigger. And he talks about film revenues as well. He said if in New York, in obviously Hollywood and stuff, if your next one isn't bigger than your last one, you're finished. And yeah. So I mean, that's going to eat you up as well, isn't it? If you're always constantly like, shit, all of those achievements are good, but if I'm not constantly exceeding with my next stuff, I'm finished in this town.
Yeah,
you know
so
what I mean?
That's kind of like what I was saying before we took the break. Is like when you're in the process, you don't necessarily understand what's going on, but you're so caught up in like the moment, in the momentum that's moving forward. Is you forget about like actually he probably did. If he did have a break, he probably wouldn't have slapped Chris Rock. You know what I mean? Like he's like just
he did
caught
try
up.
and take one, didn't he, when he went to Trinidad?
Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
slow
Oh,
things
that was
down.
funny.
Once.
Yeah, one break.
Yeah, one break.
And then 14 trips of ayahuasca later.
Yeah.
And he's still slapping someone,
Paddy,
so
why did-
ayahuasca clearly doesn't work.
Can anyone explain for the viewers who
Think it
don't know
does.
what ayahuasca is?
Ayahuasca's I'll go. It's a plant and a root that are muddled together. And it's a drink, and it's apparently probably like one of the most psychedelic substances you can take. It's often you go to like South America, Peru, like wherever.
Merthyr.
Yeah. I mean,
or
but
7-Eleven.
they've also started doing it like medicinally now as well, like within like not hospitals, but like experimenting on people with it. But it's basically like it's a purge of everything you're holding on to in terms of stress, trauma, past experiences.
Do you reckon it opens your third eye, right?
And it's meant to be like it started off in like
And you have to-
Aztec cultures and stuff, and it was like your way to find the divine and your way to go to like a higher being. And
I think that it's interesting they were saying about it's like an ancient remedy.
it's been
But
around
I mean,
for centuries.
It's now coming into modern like science.
Medicine.
Yeah, it's now coming into
You
modern
can do like
science.
retreats with it now,
But
right?
it's basically what happens is it's like it's a big green drink that you have, and you'll often do
Gatorade.
one. Yeah.
Sounds like you know
the
a lot
apple,
about this, mate.
the apple,
Mountain
apple,
Dew.
yeah, Mountain Dew. You'll often have one, do the trip, and then you'll do a bigger dose the second time. But it's basically like you'll shit, puke, you
purge.
purge everything, and then from that point on, you're like open and ready to accept what's above.
And if anyone
Not
needs
too
any,
dissimilar from having
And if
beers
you-
on the beach and then having a chicken.
if anyone needs
burger.
any more drug related content, follow at Alex Younger.
Chef and cooking. Pot brownies.
So Alex is planning a trip to Peru.
I'd love to, actually. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love to. Yeah, it's something I'd
I
love
mean,
to do.
I think I'd be open to it.
I'd love to do it. It's just,
Would have liked to have gone when Megan Fox was there.
yeah.
So how many times?
Was-
So he went 16 times.
14.
To this, 14 times. So you
So
can
that-
clearly see that, like the desperation he was
No,
in.
no. They say you're not meant to just do one trip, because if you like, another podcast I listen to is Aubrey Marcus, and he's like massive into it, and it's not something you should do once and then not
Because you're
do.
just sitting on the edge of it, right? You've got to go through the process.
You have to practice, because the first time it's like you're strapped to a rocket ship and you've got no idea what's going on, but the fourth, fifth, sixth time you start to understand the process a little bit more, so
So me and
it
Danny
gets
going
better.
out.
Yeah, it
It
really is.
basically gets better.
Danny, were you listening to the book when this was happening?
This is where we catch him out and he's not read it.
Nah, I think I might have fell asleep in this bit of the audiobook.
No, but I mean, like
You can't play it overnight.
In the
The
audio
older book.
But I mean,
Audible.
when you're listening to it, it's like he puts on like a voice of like how he was feeling. He's like, and he talks about, He talks about like him being in like space, and
What-
then he's like talking about how it's like you're beautiful, and it's like this person is saying you're beautiful to him, and it's like your soul is whatever.
He also spoke about his the lady he saw 8 times. His mother
The
nature.
mother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wait, was that his mum or was that
No,
Mother
this
Nature?
this character. I can't know if it was Mother Nature, but this character that he saw that sort of protected him.
Yeah.
Mm.
He saw her 8 times. That's
That was
that's
the one
Paddy
I'm
to
talking-
Danny.
Do you know what is mad though? It's like looking at sort of the last 100 years, and you see big pharma and stuff. Sorry to sort of go off on a tangent here, but it is slightly relevant. But like the epiphany, like the medical world's had in terms of we obviously we're recording this live now in Hong Kong, and obviously there's Chinese medicine as opposed to sort of Western medicine. But like Western medicine is now incorporating more Chinese medicine. But like this thing's been around for 1,000 years, and they're only because it's only now getting a bit of publicity that they're willing to sort of look into it, because obviously it sounds like it's something that's stood the test of time.
I think they've also tried to protect it, right?
But why is that as well? But why? Because if you're sick and you take pills that numb you, it's way easier just to take those forever and not have to worry about it. But
that's the thing.
You take ayahuasca and it opens you up to challenge yourself to do something that's like you have to find the solution yourself, versus when you take a pill or whatever Western medicine is, pills, drips, whatever it is, that's the solution, but you're not solving the problem that's inside, right?
I don't want to go into sort of conspiracies and stuff, but if you sort of look
here's Eddie Bravo.
If you look at what Big Pharma was and all sorts of these remedies, they were all sort of put to the side and like, oh, you don't want to be taking them, you want to take these pills. Go on these pills and make all these billionaires even more money and stuff. But
then you've got America.
No, that genuinely look into certain people. I went on a Twitter thread, and obviously everyone learns anything about Twitter threads and stuff, but there's so much to be learned. So if these, I'm looking forward anyway to a trip Peru. Should we
recap the last 3 minutes?
Sorry,
basically,
I went on a tangent.
Basically, he talks about ayahuasca in the book, and as a group. That's our next pod.
Yeah. No, he talks about some of his trips, and it's pretty interesting just to hear what happens to his brain during those things.
But it's also like, I feel like the idea of doing ayahuasca is almost like, or like doing something like that is shunned. But like a lot of successful people have done it, you know, like.
Sorry, I just remembered one part of the other book as well. He said his mate went to India and did like that silent retreat where it was like however many weeks being silent. And then in the book, he talks about him trying to do it, and he's like, I can't do this.
Yeah, his mate spent, I think, 12 days. And then he was like, I had to beat it, where he was completely cut off from anything, not allowed to see anyone, talk to anyone, cut off from...
Yeah, he did 2 weeks or something.
I think he did 14 days.
Log cabin, and he only read books as well, didn't he? He just read books during the thing.
That's it.
A friend of mine did it here.
It's meant to be
silent retreat.
It's meant to be madness.
On the last pod, I was quite silent.
On the first 2 pods, I was deadly silent.
I know 2 people who have done it, and one of my mates said that it was mad because by the end of it, you actually feel like you know people really well, even though you've never said a word to them. And after the 10 days she'd done, you were allowed to have conversations, but you knew the patterns, the habits, how they acted. Because,
again, that's body language, isn't it? You're still speaking with everything that you do. Like, you go to a foreign country, like, you can still get yourself around by just going...
shaking your hips at
you know
people.
what I mean? Just like... this way, that way. So there's plenty more.
Manicure, massage.
But I mean, and then if you ever work on another podcast and you want people to talk, you go.
Yeah. What you do is you reverse.
Shake your hands.
Okay. Has anyone else got anything to add before we rate the book?
I think it was just for me. I think you can read the book through a few different ways. You can either. I mean, it was hard not to take the slap into consideration. That's why we are ultimately reading it. You can read it and think he's a psycho, I don't like him. Or I think the way I read it was like pretty inspirational. He's a disciplinarian. He got after it. There was people that got hurt on the way. And it's difficult to do both.
That's life.
Just on that though, there's a fantastic quote that he says, isn't it? It's like, make sure you're nice to people on the way up because you might pass them again on the way down. Right?
Yeah, that's it.
You might pass them again on the way down.
That's it. So I read the book as a pump up book. So I really enjoyed it.
Okay, shoot.
Well, just to add your score onto that, though, you gave a pretty good recount of what you thought.
Well, I'm now semi-regretting my scores from the first couple, even though I did really enjoy this book, but I think I enjoyed this another level again. And then we're getting towards the 90s.
Well, it's just a learning process with the book.
Which is almost perfect.
But I don't think this is a 90.
Why don't you retract your first 2 scores?
Can't do that.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's from now then.
We're
learning.
We're learning.
I'm going to go with 2 fat ladies.
77.
88. 88 for me.
It's a solid. Yeah.
88 for me. 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 88 for me
Do you want to go
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy the book. I'm not gonna lie. I just felt like I was getting annoyed by him at some times, just because it felt so overexpressive and being like, I was like, but I get that's the purpose of it. What would I rate it?
12.
Like, maybe 77.
You have gone with the 77.
We're going double numbers. Is that it?
Double bubble.
Yeah.
It's not 99.
11,
that's for
22, 33, 44.
I really like this book. No, it was good
Wait,
to see.
It's
This
gonna
is
be
the
biased.
only book you finished.
Yeah, okay. So no, he's a genius, and you will look back at people like this and celebrities in 100 years' time, and you'll think, "Fucking hell, he was class, wasn't he?" No, but it's only when they're dead that
I
you
won't
think
be here, mate.
Mozart, Beethoven.
Danny's 130 years old.
Are we comparing Will Smith to Mozart and Beethoven?
Don't know. I fucking
He
love.
is ridiculously famous, right?
Mate, he's top 5 celebrities in the world. Like every single person knows Will Smith.
He's got. I mean, yeah.
It's hard
I
to
can't
argue with that.
Yeah, he's got to be up there.
But that's literally how he made his films go so big, by going and doing all the
Yeah.
And so to sort of differ on sort of Paddy's last, obviously I respect that, but these geniuses are so.
I respect that, but you're fucking wrong.
But geniuses are so far removed from the normal fella. I thought his honesty was sort of. I appreciated that essentially, and to see the insight of sort of what it takes to go from absolutely fucking nothing, from stacking ice, you know what I mean, and making ice, and to going to the very top, and all the hurdles that he's had to overcome. I thought it was quite impressive. He didn't hold back on the relationships that he's lost, and I thought it was a good little bit of insight as to Hollywood, because
I loved all the honesty, the books, the achievement. I did like it. I just didn't like the whole.
What are you giving it, Dan?
Bravado.
What's out of 100?
I'm gonna give it.
99.
Do you know what? I think I'm going to give it an 86.
Nice.
Cheers.
It's a big moment. It's
Yeah.
your first 100 score, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it is your first 100
It
score.
is. It is. I liked. There was a lot of this book that I enjoyed reading. The first bit where it was like childhood and his dad and stuff, I related to quite a lot. And then I loved the whole section of like how hip hop was born and that whole like. I mean, that's my biggest go-to music genre, and I loved that whole segment. I just thought as soon as he got really famous, it was almost a bit of a change of the book. It was like somebody else was telling the story versus him telling the story. But I enjoyed it. There was a lot of stuff that I related to, and I thought like Benny said, you did get fired up reading parts of it, and you wanted to go push, you wanted to be like motivated and that sort of stuff. So I guess that's what the book's about, right? Is this like his come up, how he did well, and then also the other side of it is the downhill spiral, what happens at the other side. So I thought it was good and I enjoyed it. I reckon in terms of like, would I read it again? I'm not a massive fan of autobiographies, so it's not.
You've read it twice? How many?
I listened to it.
Oh, right, fair.
And then obviously had to read it this time.
What's your score, Di?
78.
One up on me.
Very good. I mean,
Sorry, before George goes, I think it's worth mentioning that actually he wrote this book with Mark Manson.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to find out about how much Mark Manson had to do with it. For those who don't know, Mark Manson is the guy who wrote Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
yeah.
Great book, by the way.
interesting.
Yeah, really
So-
I
good.
heard mixed reviews on that book as well.
Actually, I quite like that book, to be fair. It's been a while since I read it, but it's good.
On my review, I absolutely loved it. I love Will Smith's all of his stuff, apart from some of his shit movies on Netflix.
You got him
But I mean-
tattooed on your arse, George?
No, but I mean, like I said, Di, I listened to this before this was even chosen for our group book review. But I mean, when I was listening to it, I loved it, and yeah, I think his storytelling through everything he's done in the book is great. I gave it a 90. Just as like a share on my Instagram for all my fans out there. But yeah,
It's hard to retract from that now.
I'm not going to retract it because I feel the book and his slap, which is now what he's kind of like stamped with, are two separate things. I think his book is great and it's unbelievable what he's been through. The slap, I actually hate him now. Do you know what I mean? Isn't like I don't hate all of his stuff that he's done. I still love his movies. But I'm not in a rush to like see anything Will Smith.
Have you
do know what I mean?
cancelled Will Smith?
It's not that I've cancelled it, Di. It's like I saw a meme where it was like you thought Kanye was crazy. Look what Will Smith did, and I was like, oh my god, he fucking is absolutely mental. Do you know what I mean? It was like one of those moments where you're like, what he did at that Oscars is so
Was
like
the-
if that was any of us.
yeah, no, but I mean, like
apart from
what he did for that thing, I just think it's hard to like look past it now. Do you know what I mean? Is it like time will heal it for sure? But I'm just saying, when I listened to the book, I thought it was
Don't think it
incredible.
will.
Do you not look at it though and just sympathise? And he is.
No, mate, you can't do that.
I just
No,
feel
but
like
I
he's a
mean-
man on edge, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously on a breakdown, and it's like
100% die, but there's no like. Imagine if someone just slapped you
There's also-
outside, being like,
but-
"Heard
yeah,
you
but
about
He
this
gets
podcast?"
that every
but
fucking week.
that's
there's
not
also-
rational
there's also-
behaviour, though. It's
No,
like
that's
that is.
Hollywood. But I mean, you can't just do what he
That's
did.
Hollywood,
but it's
baby.
Also, it's also the flip side of stuff, and it's like there is a line that, like, at some point you do cross the line, and there has to be repercussions. And when you become a celebrity,
Yeah, I think he's
no,
got to
no.
be cancelled for a bit.
but when you become a celebrity, that line is blurred because you're a celebrity, you're in the public eye. But there is like still things that like is it like a dude, you don't talk about other guys' missuses, you don't talk about other guys' mums, you don't like, you know what I mean? Like it's a whole like
Yeah, but
Jorge Masvidal thing, right?
I'm
Like,
just
it's-
saying you can't walk
of
up to
course,
someone and
not-
punch them.
I mean,
or,
definitely
like,
not
hit
at the
them.
Oscars either.
Yeah,
but
no,
at some,
no,
at
but
some
anyway,
point,
you
if you
can't-
cross the line,
Oh, yeah,
it's,
sure,
there has
sure.
to be repercussions. Whether that would be take Chris in the back and say,
I
"Mate, you
think
crossed the line."
everyone here can agree that you can't do that.
Danny would.
I mean, you can't, but I mean, would I?
You-
Potentially.
He was not in a right state of mind. And listen,
For
That's
sure,
for another
for sure.
podcast as well, Paddy.
I'm just saying, book, loved it. Obviously, after what's happened,
Yeah, it's hard. I'm being contradicting.
0 out of 100.
Yeah, it's done.
I'm not watching Men in Black 17.
Yeah, no, agreed.
All right, that was pretty good. Would love to
Is everyone
Are
moving
we,
on?
announce.
are we announcing the next one, or is it going to be a different one?
I would like to suggest that we do I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell.
Okay, yeah.
Done.
What's it about?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Don't even need to
It's
know. Just go. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good book. It's about a lawyer who had a lot of money in New York, and he's got chaos stories.
yeah, excited.
Okay,
Nice.
I hope they serve beer in hell and in Hong Kong.
When will we be recording that?
The last Sunday of every month.
Yeah, but will you be having a beer at that point?
Oh, probably not.
I was going to say it would be a nice occasion for you to have a beer with.
It's alright, Dave. We're on the zeros.
I haven't had a beer today. It just has no
Mate, he
alcohol in
was
it.
pissed as a fart on Friday on the non-alkies. You don't want to
They
give him
weren't-
any bevy.
They weren't
Couldn't even
non-alkies.
order his
They were just regular
chicken and
beer in a
chips.
different can.
Shout out to Guilo for putting 0%, but actually they're 5%.
Yeah, well, I got that
5%.
paranoid. I took the sticker off. Do you know I went home and was literally over the toilet, like about to spew off 5 pints of non-alcoholic beverage? I'm being serious.
Guilo, if you're listening, you've tucked us up.
Them fun IPAs blow your head off.
All right, good job, lads.
We've been buckled. You've been amazing. Thank you.
Oh, let's keep that one for next time.
Yeah, number 3 in the books.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, everyone.